Man, Dutch has got a lot of stuff. Can't decide what it is I want to use. I got an idea. Let's get a little bit of everything. I got new Dutch filling on my tarp. Hey everybody, Rob here from Backpacking Adventures. You saw me on the internet trying to figure out what Dutch stuff to buy. I think I finally figured it out. I bought a little bit of everything. I've rigged it up on my SuperFly, and I'm going to show you a bunch of different configurations, how you can use Dutch's gear, Dutch's bling, I call it Dutch's doodads, on your tarp, and different configurations. Maybe this will help somebody out. Heck, it might even help me out make some decisions. The first piece of Dutch wear that I want to show you is just a simple Dutch clip. I've spliced it on to about an 8-foot piece of Zingit, and I'm going to use this as one end of a line for a tarp ridgeline. I'll show you how to hook it up onto the pole here in the backyard right now. It doesn't get any easier than that. And the part that I like about that is it's enough tension that it'll stay right there. So if you're imagining out on a trip or by yourself, you saw how easy I was able to do that. Now let's take a look at what I've done with the Tarp Flyz. On my SuperFly tarp, all SuperFlys come with about a 1/2-inch split ring. I've simply taken the Tarp Flyz, the back hole, and spliced it onto the split ring. This will stay permanently attached now. The good part about this, now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use this piece of Zingit that we just rigged up. So let's do a little bit of a close-in and see how I'm going to use that. With the Tarp Flyz, simply hook it around the head of the fly. Hook it around the head of the fly, around the front antenna, clip it on the back wing, and that connection's now made. On the other end of the tarp, what I've done is taken about a 12-foot or so piece of Zingit, simply created a 1-inch or so locked Brummel, Lark's headed that onto the D-ring, and now I've taken another piece of Dutch bling, the Tarp Wasp, or the Wasp, and you can see here, I've fished it through both of the holes. And there's a couple of different ways that I've found that you can lock this in place. And guys, what I found is I lock it real close to the split ring of the tarp as a permanent connection. You can simply pull the loop out and go over the tail, locking it in place that way. And that's the way that Dutch has actually shown it when he demonstrated. Or what I found you can do is actually take the same loop, go over the head of the Wasp, and lock it in that way. That's the way I'm going to go ahead and do it this time. Now we're simply going to take the Wasp permanent attachment point, go around the tree, apply a little tension, lock it in place. It's as simple as that. Using a Flyz and a Dutch clip, or a Dutch hook on one end, and using the Wasp on the other end, I've now got my tarp hung between my two trees. Let's open this baby up. Next, what I want to share is some of the different tarp tie-out and guy line connection points that I've done. Again, using a bunch of stuff from Dutch. First is a piece of shot cord just tied into a continuous loop to allow for tarp tension. And here's a tarp Stingerz. Here's the best part about this. I really am excited about using this, and I can see where this is going to deliver a lot of benefit for myself. So I've gone ahead with a piece of Zingit, and I've spliced it on to the head of the Stingerz. What this allows me to do now is, with minimal cost and a ton of ease, I could take every tarp that I own, lark's head a piece of shock cord onto each of the tie outs, create, 4, 6, 8 stingers for these, simply make the decision that I want for any particular tarp, hook the stingers onto it, and I'm all set to go. Taking the stingers, easy enough around the stake. Now, it's as simple as going around the head of the stinger, creating a little mechanical advantage, and locking it in place. The Tarp Stingers, available at DutchWeirdGear.com. If you ain't Dutch, you ain't much. This next piece on the next corner tie out is the new Tarpworm, the Dutch Tarpworm. And it's rigged with a piece of Sampson glow line from Dutch. The same concept with just a lark's headed piece of continuous loop shock cord. This has fast become my favorite connection point, using the glow wire with the Tarpworm. The Tarpworm is just a simple, easy little connection point. On one end, I tied a simple overhand knot. On the other end, I just tied a simple loop to go around my stake. And I'll show you how you make this whole thing work now. Once you've hooked the fixed loop around your stake, using the Tarpworm is as easy as creating the tension, holding it in place, the simple half turn, and that's it. It's now completely locked in place, plenty of tension, and the amount of visibility that this glow wire delivers out in the woods, you will not have to worry about guy lines being tripped over again. With this simple connection point, the amount of resistance doesn't allow and would never allow this to pull or slip or become free. But the great part of it is, by grabbing the loose end line, you've now loosened it back up to readjust if you want to. And then that simple half turn, and it's locked back in place. These are a winner. On this end, I have the simple lark's headed shock cord down to the Tarpworm on a piece of 175 Zingit. Pull it down to the desired tension. Put your simple half turn, and you've got an effective, excellent, easy connection point. And again, to loosen it, just pull on the tag end, retension it if you want to. Has anybody ever left a tent stake behind? Have you ever left a tent stake in the woods and then had to whittle out with a piece of branch another tent stake? Dutch has come to the rescue. I have Zingit attached to my tent stake. With this yellow Zingit, you won't lose the tent stake. Let's take a look at how this works. So with this, now you simply grab the Tarp Flyz. This is a Tarp Flyz. Shock cord, continuous loop. Come down, grab your tent stake, your guy line on your tent stake, hook it around the head of the flea, create your mechanical advantage, loop it around, lock it in place, and you now have an excellent connection point, as well as, this is a part I really like about doing it this way, I can simply unhook, and if it's time to remove my stake, I've got, pull this up, wrap my line around my stake, put it in my bag, and I'm done. The next thing I want to show you is a flea on a collar. Here's what I want to demonstrate with this, and this is for all of the Cuban fiber tarp owners that don't want or don't need the shock cord. Take the flea on a collar, again, simple lark's head. You now have this permanently attached to your Cuban fiber tarp. You use the same concepts that we just talked about, except for when I was using it on the shock cord. I'll show you how that works. So imagine this on your Cuban fiber tarp. You've gone around. A simple lock-in, and you're done. Now with a Cuban fiber tarp, this becomes an excellent way. Unhook it. This gets rolled up, taken care of in your Cuban fiber tarp. No sharp edges, and you have what I'm considering to be one of the best now that I've seen attachment points on the Cuban fiber tarp. A little door clip that Dutch sells as well. These things are excellent. You hook them onto a piece of shock cord onto the door, and then you simply come on down, go around your shock cord, hook it on, and you're done. Alright guys, that's a wrap. From Dutch clips and flies to wasps and fleas and worms and flies and fleas and clips and hooks and stingers, the connection cord, all that stuff. Dutch's website's got a ton of stuff. I couldn't make my mind up. I've decided now that I'm going to get 4 or 5 of everything. I'm going to let my wife know. I love using his stuff, but this is a SuperFly Tarp rigged out with just about every gizmo, doodad, and more importantly, Dutch bling that Dutch sells. Thanks everybody. I hope this is informational, and we'll catch you back on the trail pretty shortly. Thanks.